Hello and welcome to the CrossFit Linchpin private track. This is the Ask Me Anything for Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. I'm just shocked that days, weeks, and months are ripping by. The fact that we're already in September is crazy to me. So anyway, we'll kick it off. As always, a lot of really cool, good questions from the community. I've checked out, seen which ones are upvoted. And we're going to go ahead and dive right in. So, first most upvoted one was from Eric J. When you were on seminar staff, what was your favorite lecture to give? And Eric says his guess is the What is Fitness lecture. Fantastic lecture. I mean, there's no doubt about that. Not the correct answer, though. My favorite lecture by far was the technique lecture. And whenever I got to give the technique lecture, I was very happy, and when I didn't get to give the technique lecture, I was insanely jealous of whoever got to give it. What was also cool, and I feel very fortunate to have been a part of this, is when I first got on staff, it was so long ago, and things were still building in terms of sophistication or systems or processes, that there wasn't a lot of formalized lectures. So right off the bat, if you were a brand new lecturer or trainer, this is a long time ago, you might hear something like, congratulations, you're going to be giving the presses lecture next weekend in Philadelphia. And you're like, fantastic, that's so excited, I'm going to give the presses lecture. Ooh, I want to make sure that I'm prepared. Can I see the lecture? Can somebody send it to me, email it to me? And they're like, oh no, there's no lecture written down. Just, you've heard it a bunch of times, the points of performance and the faults, just go give it. And that was in large part, just the building of what is now a very well-run, polished, systematic, experience when you go to a level 1 seminar. But back then, somebody had to create and write a lot of those lectures, and I was lucky enough to be a part of a lot of that. And one of the ones specifically was the technique lecture. So the technique lecture, I always had the main points that I wanted to get across. And for many, many, many weekends in a row, I would give a slightly different lecture and see how did that work on the audience. Was it more effective or less effective? I would test the waters, and I would constantly learn and keep what was proven to be effective, remove what wasn't quite as poignant or articulate as I wanted it to be, and just keep polishing until I really got the technique lecture just singing and how I really wanted it. So I love the technique lecture. And the technique lecture, it was basically, CrossFit's definition of technique, and technique being, the technique is the productive application of force. Okay, so if you want more pull-ups or a heavier squat clean, that you just don't need to yank on the bar, right? It's just not applying force to the bar, yanking on the bar. It's the productive application of force. It's the sequencing. It's this beautiful cascade of just the right movements at just the right time, and a handoff from larger muscle groups to smaller muscle groups, and all of a sudden you've got more weight on the bar and you're clean, and just how important technique is. And if you want to maximize your fitness, maximize the load on the bar, have a faster run time, a faster Fran time, whatever it was, the technique was where you needed to be. And on top of that, what's also great is your best course of action to having a long, healthy career in strength and conditioning and moving your body is you want to keep yourself healthy, and your best friend is going to be beautiful, solid, proper mechanics and technique. So how great is that? This one thing bestows upon you everything that you want. Technique gives you not only a faster Fran and more pull-ups and a heavier squat clean, which we all want, but it also is one of the best ways to keep yourself safe and ensure that you're working out for years and years. So you've got health and you've got fitness in this one wonderful thing called technique. But it's this one thing that maybe, I don't know if this is fair to say, but doesn't get the credit that it deserves, or people don't want to focus on technique, right? They just want to go faster, just want to put more plates on the bar, just want to, address something else and hope that works. Whereas a lot of times, scaling is cool, as we say all the time at Linchpin, right? Reduce the loading, really connect your mind to your body, how you're actually moving, improve the quality of your movement with lighter loadings, reducing the speed, really get those movement patterns down. Again, scaling is cool. And then when you build back up with better sound, more proper mechanics, the sunshine's just going to come out. Life's going to be wonderful. So I really enjoyed the technique lecture. And we would cover other things such as, do I want you to do the workout right? Or do I want you to do the workout fast? Meaning the technique of a thruster, if we're talking about Fran. Do I want you to do fast thrusters, or do I want you to do correct thrusters? And truth be told, we're greedy. The answer is both. I want you to do them as fast as you can safely do properly. So I want both. I want them done fast, relative to your ability, and I, of course, want them done correctly. And I don't want just one or just the other. Fast, sloppy, erratic movement is potentially just a ticking time bomb that's going to catch up with you later on, be it health-wise, joint-wise, or you will eventually blunt your growth and plateau at some point in time because you don't, once again, need to just yank on the bar harder to get fitter, faster, and stronger. You need to move better. And then the other side is true. You want to be healthy and safe, you've got to move well also. So again, technique was just mission critical. And finding that perfect balance was another part of the lecture as well. And, from having been in the military and having a shooting background, not that everybody has a shooting background, but you can use the same analogy in a large array of examples. I would draw 3 circles on the board and assume that they were targets, okay, like 12-inch circles. And I would then take the dry erase marker and make a bunch of dots as if they were, impacts from bullets or rounds, we're at the shooting range, we're shooting, and I'm your instructor. And in target number 1, all of the shots are clustered in this beautiful, tight group, dead center in the target. There's not a thrown round anywhere. Flawless shooting. Target number 2. If they fired 10 rounds, only 1 hit the target. 9 of them are way outside the target. Totally erratic. Awful shooting. And then there's target number 3. Again, if you fired 10 rounds, let's say 7 or 8 of them are inside the target in a relatively nice cluster, you threw 1 or 2 rounds wide. Not preposterously so, but just outside the circle. Just 1 or 2 rounds that just got away from you a little bit. But 7 or 8 out of 10 of them, they're on target, nice little cluster. And then you'd ask people, which of these 3 examples, what would be the recommendation that I give to each one of these people? And this, of course, translates to, or is an analogy to, somebody working out under both load and intensity. And you'd say, okay, there's target number 1. With the tightest group in the world, all 10 rounds falling one right on top of another, not a single thrown round, period. Guys just driving tacks. To that person, my recommendation in the shooting range is you need to speed up. You need to shoot faster, because if you are laying them on top of each other like that, while it's impressive, relative to your ability, you're not pushing yourself. So let's push yourself just a little bit. See that target, that grouping expand a little bit, and we'll know that you're operating at your threshold. That beautiful, wonderful perimeter where you are working at about the limits of your capacity. You're still doing something well, but you're getting a little bit of the speed wobbles, right? You're working hard. Your central nervous system, your brain is engaged. That's where I want you to be. Target number 2, the individual that had only 1 shot hit the target and 9 of them were way off target. My advice to you on the shooting range and in the gym is you need to slow down. You are operating way outside your capacity, way outside your ability. You need to slow down, take your time, and get a better grouping. AKA, you need to strip weight off that bar, You need to not worry about some intensity. Don't worry about the clock and slow it down. Now let's get your fundamentals where they need to be. And only then, once we tighten up that group, will we slowly start to add in some loading or some intensity relative to your capacity. And then that third individual that had, 7 or 8 out of the rounds on target, in a grouping, not a super tight group, but in a grouping, 7 or 8 out on target, and threw just 1 or 2 rounds just outside the circle, not wildly so. Fantastic. That person is shooting both well and quickly, and relative to their ability, they are in that zone of adaptation that they're going to walk off of the shooting range that day a more competent and capable marksman because they're right at the limit of where they need to be. And that same thing just applies to the gym. Sometimes people want to make working out so much more complicated than it is. That's unnecessary. It's usually somebody trying to sell you some snake oil. Doing, and some movements that we do, they're complicated for sure. Thrusters, squat cleans, squat snatch, walking on your hands, there's complicated movement patterns. So we're trying to do something complicated, and we're trying to do it quickly, and there's fatigue in there as well. Anything in the world that is technically demanding and complicated that you're trying to do quickly is just a demanding endeavor. Whether that's, and we used to say this all the time at seminars, playing the violin, most people would agree that is a complicated thing to do. And if you're going to play it well, you have to do it and play it quickly. Speaking a foreign language, driving a car, shooting a firearm, like I just said. There's a whole bunch of things in the world that require both technique and speed to do proficiently. And you're not going to learn how to do any of those without making mistakes. Hopefully they're done in a safe environment, Then the marksmanship, the range. I've taught a bunch of people how to shoot in my life. I'm here to tell you, no one's great right out of the bat. People make mistakes. If you're learning how to drive a car, we've all made mistakes. If you're learning how to play an instrument, you made a tremendous amount of mistakes. Speaking a foreign language, that's just the way that the world works with regards to learning. But then somehow, in strength and conditioning, people are like, oh, you can't ever make a mistake ever. Well, why do all of a sudden the immutable laws of nature suddenly don't apply in a gym? The world just changed? That's nonsense. So getting people to understand reality, make rational decisions, come back down to earth, understand how learning occurs, understand, technique, speed, volume, safety, the whole 9 yards. It was a really fun lecture, and I very much enjoyed it. And one of the other things I used to say, as a thought experiment, right, just to get people thinking, is I would say, I would lead them down, not a trap, but again, lead them somewhere to get them to engage their brain, do some critical thinking, is, okay, let's say you've got an athlete, and they have a squat clean that, whatever, it is what it is. And over the course of a calendar year, they retest their squat clean, and it's gone up 20 pounds. Is that athlete stronger? 20 pound jump over the course of the year. And of course, every single person, because they don't know I'm leading them down a trap, like you all do, so you're probably suspicious. But when they're not suspicious, it's a very obvious question and answer. Yeah, of course, 20 more pounds on the bar. Years gone by. Of course they're stronger. Great. What if that same athlete puts 20 pounds on their squat clean in 6 months? Doesn't take a year. And most people are like, yeah, 6 months, that's a good period of time for sure. Yeah, they're still stronger, absolutely. What a ridiculous question. Why are you asking me silly questions? Okay, what if it happened in a month? And they're like, wow, geez, that's a good month. Man, congratulations. Yeah. Now they're a little more hesitant, but they still say, yes, yeah, I guess so, yeah. But man, congrats, good month. I'm like, okay, what if their squat clean went up 20 pounds in 30 minutes after a one-on-one coaching session? Are they stronger? And then they would pause in their answer because they're like, 30 minutes? No, you're trying to trick us. That person is not stronger. They're better at the movement, and that's why more weight went up. And of course, I'm like, yes, you're absolutely right. But what it all depends on is, your definition of strength. In that 30-minute session, did their squat clean go up 20 pounds because their technique improved? Yes, that's the most likely answer. Yes, and technique is what? The productive application of force. So they improved their productive application of force. Their technique, 20 more pounds went up in the squat clean. Right. What makes people want to go, I don't think they're stronger, is because it was such a short time domain. When the time domain was long, 1 year, everyone was like, oh, absolutely, they're stronger. So you can get stronger in a long period of time, but not a short period of time. And I think this is why defining your terms is important. So what most people had in their heads when they were answering that question is more of an exercise science classic definition of strength that would involve some sort of biological change in the muscle fiber, in the tissue of your body. Well, that adaptation of increasing your contractile potential or the volume, that's not happening in 30 minutes. That's what most people have in their head, and that's what most people think that's how you get stronger. Well, that's not the case if you're still inefficient with the barbell. CrossFit's definition of strength is the productive application of force. I might have said that technique is a second ago, so sorry about that. Strength is the productive application of force, and the productive application of force is technique dependent. So my apologies if I got things jumbled in my head a second ago, so I'll say it again for clarification. CrossFit's definition of strength is the productive application of force, and the productive application of force is technique dependent. So you will not get stronger without technique. They are absolutely hand in hand. And so that would be the same thing based upon CrossFit's definition of strength. 30 minutes later, your squat clean goes up 20 pounds. In the CrossFit world, the answer is yes, you are stronger. If you walk into the gym without ring muscle-ups, you do a bunch of pull-ups and a bunch of dips, but you can't do ring muscle-ups, and I coach you, and you walk out with ring muscle-ups, you're stronger. Because strength is the productive application of force. And most likely what we did, since the productive application of force is technique dependent, is we improved your technique, and now you are able to accomplish work that you previously were not able to accomplish. Your contractile potential in your muscles did not change, but now we are teaching you how to use that contractile potential that you have in a more productive manner, and that more productive manner is accomplishing functional movements. All good. So, yeah, that was my favorite lecture. And there's a great old school video, which I don't know if I should say nobody knows about, but not enough people know about. That would be fair for me to say. And it is called The Productive Application of Force. And it is by Greg Glassman. You can find it in the old CrossFit Journal, and it, I can't remember exactly when that video was posted, but if you find that video on the CrossFit Journal, because I looked it back up today to see if it was still there, and it is, you will see, I really enjoyed the video, but you will see only one comment on that video, and that is from me. And I looked at it, and I made that comment on that video in 2010, and I just wrote something like, great, excellent, fantastic, or something like that. So I would encourage everybody to check out that video. So yes, Eric, the technique lecture was my favorite lecture by far. So once again, in summary, CrossFit's definition of strength is the productive application of force, and the productive application of force is technique dependent. And just for the CrossFit nerds out there, the definition of strength in the 10 general physical skills is defined differently, because CrossFit did not create the 10 general physical skills. The 10 general physical skills were created by the founders of the Dynamax Medicine Ball Company. I'm going to mess up their names and maybe get them mixed up. Bruce something and Jim Cawley, two gentlemen. They created that list of 10 general physical skills. And strength is one of those on the 10 general physical skills. The definition of strength on that list is the classic exercise science contractile potential of the muscles. But again, that's not CrossFit's origination. In the technique lecture, CrossFit gives its own definition of strength. So it's good to know the two differences there as well. Not to go down a rabbit hole, but with that list of 10 general physical skills, although CrossFit did not create them, CrossFit took it one step further, whereas the gentleman from the Dynamax Medicine Ball Company said, these are the 10 ways in which the human body can adapt to strength and conditioning. CrossFit said, yes, and he or she is fittest that is blended most evenly across all 10 of these and doesn't have glaring gaps in a couple and overdeveloped capacity in a couple. So there was some interplay there as well. Sorry for the rabbit hole. Okay. Next question was from Rod and Diane. Rod and Diane, let's see, where are you? What's the latest on the on-ramp / fundamental track for beginners? And the question of that is, the history on this is, this was mentioned a while ago, we were developing this course, and the truth is, there was 3 that we wanted to do. Just a body weight on-ramp course that would be available through the Beyond the Whiteboard app, a dumbbell on-ramp course, and a barbell on-ramp course. And we figured between those 3, we've got all our bases covered. I'm happy to report that the bodyweight on-ramp course is done. The dumbbell on-ramp course is done. The barbell on-ramp course is in progress, and I actually have a work call scheduled tomorrow and to work on that further. So it is in progress, and once all 3 are done, then I think we'll figure out what makes sense as to how to offer them, how to launch them, and all that good stuff. But yeah, pushing the ball forward, and those should be a tremendous resource for people. It should be fantastic. Okay. Next question. Answer one quick from Travis R. Travis, stand by. I'm just doing some scrolling here. Any get-togethers, in-person get-togethers scheduled in the PNW, the Pacific Northwest. So, just so everyone knows, the Cascade Classic, which is a big event up here in Washington State, takes place just outside of Seattle in a town called Puyallup. And I believe that's on November 13th and 14th. And that's the one that they contracted CrossFit Linchpin to do the programming for their online qualifier events. And my intention is to go to that in-person event, November 13th and 14th, I believe, in Puyallup, Washington. I'll have some kids' sports that weekend, so it's not like I'm going to be there from sunup to sundown both days. I'll have to go and take care of my kids' sporting events and things like that. But I wholeheartedly plan on making appearances and staying there as long as I can on both the 13th and the 14th, just to meet people in the Linchpin community, say hello to this awesome CrossFit community in general. So that is happening. And then my other goal, it's not a 100% definite, but it's another goal, is to attend the Rogue Invitational. And that takes place in Texas on the same weekend as Halloween, the October 31st weekend. So the Rogue Invitational in Texas, I plan on being there. The Cascade Classic in Puyallup, Washington, November 13th, 14th, plan on being there. And then just some members of the Linchpin community have been doing some cool meetups, which absolutely warms my heart. We've had people recently do like Spartan races or adventure races in West Virginia, Eastern Washington, so people are having a good time. Continue to do that, please, and yeah, we'll have a blast. Okay, next question is from Patrick S. Not me, a different Patrick S. I did not ask a question in the AMA. Okay, here we go. Question is basically about goal times, because we give goal times for the workout of the day, and if and when and how they relate to the limited equipment option, things of that nature. So the goal times that are given for the prescribed workout of the day. So if you're doing the scale, if you're doing the limited equipment, there's a little bit of variability in there, no doubt about it. But not so much that I would get wrapped around the axle about it, consider your workout a success or a failure or whatnot. It's just general guidelines, people. Just general guidelines, right? So, and they're often pretty darn close. So for example, if there was some, air bike or rowing or something that occurred in the workout of the day, well, we assume the limited equipment crew doesn't have gear like that, so there would be some sort of shuttle run or running in general that would take place, and it would, to the best of my ability, based upon the experience, mimic the time that the average athlete would spend on the bike or the row. So that's going to be really darn close. The only place that it really there's a bit of a difference is when the barbell is involved, for example, because if you're talking about pull-ups, muscle-ups, burpees, air squats, sit-ups, toes to bar, knees to elbows, and basically anything that doesn't involve a barbell, even double unders, well, that's exactly the same prescribed or limited equipment. So that's not really going to affect the time either, and like I said, the metabolic conditioning component, if it's a bike or a row, and we put the run into to the best of our ability there, so that's going to be really close. It's going to be, when you do touch the barbell, if based upon the rep range and the loading, the limited equipment crew with the dumbbells has to increase or decrease the reps to some degree, well, that's going to throw it off a little bit, but that's okay. Again, it's not going to be crazy. For example, if we wanted to move roughly the same amount of loading and the prescribed workout of the day had 21 deadlifts at 225 pounds, something like the first round of Diane, well, if we assume that the limited equipment crew just has a pair of 50-pound dumbbells for men, a pair of 35s for women, of course use whatever makes sense for you, and we were trying to get close to the same amount of weight moved, well, since the barbell is going to be 21 deads at 225 pounds, we're probably going to be in the neighborhood of 45 to 50 dumbbell deadlifts with that pair of dumbbells to get that first amount of work accomplished. So just the mere fact that you have to go up and down about twice the number that you would have to on as compared to the barbell, well, that by its very nature is going to take a bit more time. So that's kind of where it comes into play. And that's with a 225-pound barbell. Now, if it was a 185 barbell, a 135-pound barbell, a 95-pound barbell, on those sort of days, the rep range would be even closer, because there wouldn't be such a large discrepancy in loading between a pair of dumbbells and the barbell and all that. So, in general, they're probably close enough for government work. Final question, and I just realized that I forgot to put out some Linchpin shout-outs. Darn it, maybe I'll just pull some out real quick. Everybody will bear with me. But final question was also from Eric J. He just had 2 winners today that everybody upvoted. And this question was, it's a fun question, non-fitness question, just a fun one. Just an easy pitch over the middle of the plate. What's your guilty pleasure, go-to movie or TV series show that you can watch over and over again? That would be Seinfeld, The Office, and Curb Your Enthusiasm. All of those are just, they speak to me. That sort of humor speaks to me. So, okay, and I'm tapping on the folder that I have here that says Linchpin shoutouts. Okay, I'm just gonna click on the first 3. Here's the first one. Total grab bag here. I don't know what I'm getting. This is from Kate F, and it's entitled 40 Toes to Bar in a Workout. Been following the Linchpin programming since October of last year and loving it. Also been reading all the posts about how it works and seeing everyone's PRs. Well, this week was my turn. Just did the 15-minute AMRAP, and for the first time ever, I did 40 toes to bar. Actual, both feet toes to bar, and 40 of them, which means I got 4 rounds. Let's see. I'm not even hating on a lower score because it felt so great to just be able to do the movement. And then she just hashtag nobody cares, train hard, fitness was achieved. So that's phenomenal. I mean, going from not too many toes to bar to 40 toes to bar is huge. All right, let's do one more here, since again I wasn't prepared. My apologies. Okay, this one's from Corinne, and this one's entitled Appropriately Challenging. Cool understanding for me lately. After listening to Coach's conversation about how your workout should not be too difficult, I got to thinking and realized I kept going too hard or too fast in the workouts. I never realized the positive impact of adapting the workouts to my ability and finishing the workout spent but not completely dead. I was taking myself too far in effort, and that was hindering my progress. Couple that with a running program that I've been doing, and I finally understand what appropriately challenging really feels like. I can see that my ability to give more and get more progress overall is improved because I'm not completely emptying the tank every time I work out. So thanks, Coach, for helping me understand that. My pleasure, and that actually worked out really cool from the grab bag, because that in some degree relates to Eric's first question about what was the favorite lecture that I used to give. That was the technique lecture. Again, you don't just need to go harder, try harder, yank on the barbell harder. Sometimes taking a step back, reducing the loading, reducing the volume, reducing the intensity, and allowing yourself to move and move well and focus on improving your quality of movement is going to yield tremendous progress, not just physically, but both mentally as well. So, yeah, those two worked out well. All right, everybody. Thank you for being awesome. I really hope I get to see some of you at one or the other, the Cascade Classic or the Rogue Invitational. Both, I think, will be fantastic events. My fingers are just crossed that between now and then, whatever happens or continues to happen with COVID doesn't make some sort of restriction that makes something impossible, an event gets canceled, so fingers crossed that doesn't occur. But other than that, enjoy your rest day. I certainly will, and we will talk again later.